Hi, it's Darnell with Waffle Recipes, and I'm going to be making up some peanut whole wheat flour waffles using the Cuisinart large digital air fryer toaster oven. And so this is the night before I'm going to actually make the waffles, and I'm going to make up some homemade peanut flour to start using the same cooker. And so I'll make up the peanut flour tonight, and then tomorrow I'll actually make the waffles. So we're going to get cooking up on some roasted peanut flour right now, and then we'll get into the waffles. So I have here 1 cup of raw organic peanuts. So hope you can see those there in this pan. And the last time when I did some like peanut butter and I showed you how to make peanut butter, then I was using already roasted peanuts. Most peanuts you're going to get from the store are already roasted. So those cooked up real quick. With raw peanuts, raw organic peanuts, you've got to cook them slow and low for a good while to really roast them well. And so basically I'm going to preheat the cooker before I actually start roasting them. So I'm just hitting preheat, and I'm going to preheat at 250. So I'm bringing the temp down to 250. I'm going to turn the light off because I know you probably can't see the display very well. The light might be washing it out. So Lord willing, maybe you can see the display better now. I hope you can. But basically I've got it at 255 minutes for the preheat. I'm just going to let it preheat till things beep and it reaches 250. And then I'll go into the roast process of actually roasting these peanuts. Alright, sounds like the preheat has finished after 4 minutes, so it took a little while, but I'm going to go ahead now, stop the preheat, going to turn down to roast. So I got it at roast, got it at 250 for 1 hour because that's how long I roast my peanuts, 250, 1 hour. And so I've got a rack on the middle rack level. I'm going to go ahead and put the pan with the raw peanuts in there. I'm going to go ahead and just hit start. So I'm going to let those go ahead and roast for an hour. Then I'll bring you back so that we can turn those into peanut flour. So things have roasted for a full hour now, and so I'm going to go ahead and get things out. What I'm going to do, let's just turn the light on there. I'm going to basically set these aside and let them cool for a little while till things are pretty well cooled off with these peanuts. So things have had time to cool down, and so what I do in order to more easily get it into this bowl here for mixing, I put them into this smaller ramekin here, because if I try and just pour them straight from the pan into the mixing bowl, I always end up losing a bunch of peanuts. So it's just easier if I just kind of downsize a little. I put my finger over that little hole there so that no peanuts go into the hole that the mixer uses there. So to make peanut flour, I'm going to basically start mixing with my Oster chopper here. And got to be careful with trying to make peanut flour, because if I mix too much, I'm going to start making peanut butter. But I have already done a video where I fully detail how you can make peanut butter really good. But I don't want to make peanut butter, I just want to make peanut flour. So I've got to mix it some, but not too much. So we'll see what I do. Alright. Got things blended down a good bit. Overall, it's kind of a flour consistency. I'm just going to knock down some from the edges here. This is where it gets to that point of I don't want to do too much, but at the same time I don't want peanut flour that is necessarily too gritty. So this is the balancing act point of things. I'm just going to do it a little more, but Lord willing, not too much. Alright, I'm going to quit while I'm ahead there with that. So we basically got some peanut flour. It's got some points that might be a little bit of bulk, but I do suspect if I go any further than this, I'm going to end up with some peanut butter. So I'm just going to basically put this away in a container in the fridge for the night, and in the morning I'll use probably a half a cup of this or so to make with some whole wheat flour some waffles. Alright, so it's the next day, and I do recall that yesterday I may have mentioned putting the peanut flour into the refrigerator overnight. You don't have to do that. That's just force of habit. I throw things in the fridge. But I'm going to go over the ingredients here now of everything to make these peanut whole wheat flour waffles. And the dry ingredients start with a half a cup of whole wheat flour, along with the half cup of peanut flour that we made last night, a quarter teaspoon of sea salt, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And I do want to point out that with baking powder, please check the ingredients on your baking powder. If it says any type of aluminum at all, I would recommend you get another baking powder source. A tablespoon of granulated sweetener. Use what you prefer, but this is a urethral monk fruit blend that I'm using. Now into the wet ingredients, I've got 2 large eggs. I've got a half a cup of water here, and I've got a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mix the wet and dry ingredients into separate bowls. While I'm doing that, I'm going to start warming up the cooker so that it's preheated. So I'm going to hit preheat on it, and I'm going to up the temp for the preheat to 350, let it preheat for maybe 5 minutes, and just let that go while I'm getting ingredients mixed into the 2 respective bowls. Alright, I've got the wet and dry ingredients mixed. I've got the rack here with a waffle mold, silicone waffle mold here, and I'm going to spray the silicone waffle mold with some sprayable extra light olive oil. So just going to spray that up now, and that just helps to make sure that things don't stick. So it works out pretty nice. Now I'm going to go ahead and mix the wet and dry ingredients together, all in the same large bowl here. So I'm going to go ahead and mix that up. Alright, now I've got things all mixed together. I'm going to go ahead and pour the mix into my waffle mold here, and Lord willing, I'll get things nice and even across all 4 of the waffle molds here. Seems the cooker is done preheating, and I'm just finishing up and getting things into the waffle molds. Alright, I'm just going to make sure things are even on all 4. Just kind of spread things out a little so that we have some nice well-formed waffles across the board, or across the mold I should say. So let's see, I can maybe just borrow a little waffle mix from the other side. Got things almost all done. I'm going to turn the cooker off. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to bake. So now it's on bake, 350, 12 minutes. It's going to take between 10 and 12, so I'll let it stay on 12, and if they need to be pulled earlier, I'll pull them earlier, or they can go to full 12 minutes, but I think we've got things in there pretty nice now. As far as things in the mold, I'm going to put this on the middle rack level now. So there we go, middle rack level, just like that. Hit start, and since things are already preheated, it should just skip right into the baking stage pretty quick. But I'm going to go ahead and let that go ahead and do its cook, and I'll bring you on back when things are done. We'll see how long it takes. Okay, so something funny happened. Even though I had the cooker preheated, it stayed in like a preheat for, I don't know how many minutes, but it stayed in a preheat even after I started bake. And so it was just running for a good while like that, but I know this recipe takes about 10 to 12 minutes. So it's showing that, you know, just 2 minutes have passed. It's really been a lot more than 2 minutes. So when you cook them, do 10 to 12 minutes. You can keep an eye on things. Now it says about 3 minutes have passed. Things are starting to brown on the, I guess on the backs, which are the tops, because of how the molds are set up of the waffles. They're starting to brown some. I'm going to let them cook for just a little longer, and then I'm going to basically bring you back and take them on out. Alright, so things have been cooking supposedly 5 minutes. It's really been a good bit longer than 5 minutes, but I think I'm going to go ahead and pull things out now, because I'm sure that that whole preheat thing that went extra long was likely more than 5 minutes. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and get in here now. And I just feel to see if things feel spongy, and they do. So I do believe that they're all done. So let's see how they look. I'm going to just let them sit here, just cool just a little teeny bit before I take any out of the mold. And yeah, I've already turned it off, so I'll just let them cool down a little bit, and then I'll bring you back to get them out the mold. So I've let the waffles cool down a little bit, not a lot, they're still warm. I'm basically going to get 2 on that plate there. I'll just take these 2 and put them out on this plate here. So there we have, let me get this out the way. We have 4 completed waffles. I'm going to turn the light on since you don't need to see the display there any longer. So now with the light on, you can see the 4 nicely shaped waffles. Bring them a little closer for you. So looks like they turned out pretty well. And so I'm going to go ahead and do a taste test with you of these. So thank God for some peanut whole wheat flour waffles. And although I could put condiments on them, I like to do the taste test with just what was cooked. And so we just get a reaction and test of what was cooked with nothing else. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of break off with the fork a piece of the waffle here. So you see the inside there that I've broken off. Everything's well cooked. And so now let's taste. Yes, I could have used some water, but they definitely taste good. Taste the mix of the peanut with whole wheat. So you kind of like, it's like a waffle. Then there's like this peanut kind of aftertaste. So it's like peanutty, but it's not like all peanut because it's like half and half. I will say that I have done this recipe with just peanut flour, just a cup of peanut flour, to make peanut waffles, basically peanut flour waffles. In that case, peanut flour takes a little bit longer to cook. The texture is different. It does taste very peanutty, but having the whole wheat flour mixed in gives it a little more of a traditional waffle feel. The peanut flour waffle alone doesn't feel as much, it doesn't have as much a texture as a traditional waffle. This one does, so you kind of have the texture and the look and all. And peanut flour waffles look like waffles too, but they just don't have the same texture when it's all whole peanut flour. But when you mix it with the whole wheat flour, it gives you more of a traditional waffle, fluffy, light feel. And you still get some peanut taste in there. So it's pretty nice. And so in the video description, there'll be a printable version of this recipe. And if you did like the video, of course, give it a thumbs up. Share the video with a friend, leave your comments. Subscribe to the channel. Also in the video description, lots of ways to help this channel. Nothing in the video is sponsored. So there's like merch, there's donations, there's memberships, there's my cookbook, There are links, referral links to buy products, pay the same price, help the channel. All of that good stuff's there. So with all of that said, I wish you and yours good eating.